managed to reach 100 subscribers on the channel. I don't want to regurgitate the same thing everyone does when they make a milestone celebration video, but I do want to take a minute to thank everyone for their support. Your support in this channel has done more for me in this year than I've ever thought possible. This video is more than a celebration for 100 subscribers. It's a reflection of my past year on YouTube and what it's meant for me. For a few years now, I've experienced what I can only explain as a creative drought, and I really lost my spark for creating. It was only around this time last year that I began attempting to claw my way out of that drought. If I didn't have not only the support from my friends and family, but from you all as well, I'm not sure where I would stand, not with my art or with my channel. While we go through this time lapse of Phoenix and jingles, I wanted to take the time and reflect how YouTube has helped me and lifted me out of one of the worst art blocks I've ever had. On different I've been recording. God. I've been working on this channel loosely for a year. I've been learning as I go on different recording techniques, editing, and what kind of content I really want to make. It's been a very rewarding process, and since I've allowed myself to pursue this, I've noticed my creativity has come easier to me. Creating has been like breathing for me for as long as I can remember. At the beginning of 2024, I was going through a really hard time. I had lost interest in almost all of my hobbies, most of which had some kind of creative influence. I didn't enjoy Dungeons & Dragons, I didn't like my art, and I hadn't truly attempted to write anything in years. All I did was play competitive video games with no real plot, something I could drone into and not think about anything. Without realizing, I had even omitted from consuming media I could be inspired by. One day, in a desperate attempt to find comfort during a hard time, I decided to sit down and watch every single Spider-Man movie that I could that week. I've always loved Spider-Man and desired the comfort of the familiar character. So I went through the Tobey Maguire movies, then the Andrew Garfield, but was advised I'd have to catch up with the MCU in order to catch up on Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Through that, I also visited the Fox X-Men movies and fell in love with the X-Men franchise. By the spring of 2024, I developed a big love for Marvel, and through that, I had remembered something about myself. I researched into the comic making process a little and how Stan Lee and other great Marvel writers and artists came up with their characters that are now household names. Be my inhaler, dude. Oh my god, where is it? This is a lot of talking, man. All of this led to being reminded of my own characters I had made in middle school. In March of 2024, I decided to revisit my very first sketchbook, and for some reason decided to record it. I always watched sketchbook tours growing up on YouTube, and I wanted to take the chance to make my own. Little did I know this would snowball into me wanting to make more content. It reminded me how free my process used to be when drawing, and how much I overthought everything in my creative process now as an adult. Despite all the self-doubt and anxiety I felt posting that video, I went ahead anyway and pressed upload. Even to this day, it stands as one of my most viewed videos on the channel, and I fully believe it deserves that spot just from the impact it had on me. I had enjoyed every stage of making that video, from recording to revisiting the nostalgic sketchbook and then editing it. My sister and best friend were extremely supportive and furthered my motivation to experiment with videos a little more. I also realized a big reason that video had brought me such a level of joy was because it connected me to my inner child, something I hadn't had in a long time. I had an outlet to a simpler time and was reminded of what I consider my creative roots. I uploaded quite a few videos that I would end up private in that year because I realized they didn't reflect what I wanted on the channel. Yet those videos weren't made in vain. Even those videos served as a purpose in helping me find my footing. By making videos I both liked and didn't like, I began to find a better understanding of myself and a better understanding of what I wanted to create with this channel. I still had something to work on, to edit, to record, some small project that I could finish and post to gain a small sense of accomplishment in a time of my life where I felt directionless. Naturally, when the New Year's came around, I found myself in a state of introspection. I realized I really wanted to take a serious attempt at being consistent with the channel and making videos in the year of 2025. My sister was extremely supportive and encouraged me to explore genres of videos I'd never tried before. I was familiar with live streaming on Twitch as an art and gaming creator, so I never thought about doing vlogs or toy content beyond the few I made the previous year. Yet taking the time to do them, I found I had a lot of fun and gained more practice in editing programs that I didn't have before. I found myself further falling in love with the process of editing that I didn't have the chance to realize before. I was also still making genres of videos I had watched through my childhood and videos I dreamed of making when I consumed that kind of content. It was an interesting exercise connecting with that part of myself again and to see how I'd have to change recording and editing processes to fit those genres. Even with only being 4 months into the year, I'm proud to see everything I've done in the span of that time, especially when starting from scratch. There's a lot I still want to learn, and that will come with more experience. However, having connected with myself again, a lot has come easier to me than it did last year, especially in my art, where I was convinced I'd perhaps lost touch with that part of myself that has come back to me through this process. I've noticed I felt more motivation with my art. It's been a long time since I felt this excited and motivated when I pick up a pencil or my stylus, and I fully believe it's because YouTube has given me another perspective of the creative process. I see my process in an outsider view for once. I take a few steps away from the canvas after being fixated on a small portion and see the whole different picture. I see each step of my process, and I can see how I build up an image from a blank slate, something I've usually long forgotten by the time I finish a piece. What used to be so mundane to me becomes exciting because I'm reminded art isn't about the final product. It's about the process we as artists get to go through to put our ideas out in the world. I felt drained for years before this channel. When I'd attempt to draw, I would see all my errors and shortcomings as an artist, forgetting that like any hobby, it's a skill you must practice. However, practice is gradual, so you'll make mistakes, and you'll make art you find terrible. I forgot it's not a reflection of your worth, but a necessary stepping stone to your growth and progress as an artist. You just need to be able to push through those small moments of doubt and keep at it so your skill can have a chance to bloom. I found myself stuck in a cycle of not wanting to draw because I didn't like the art I made. Even if it wasn't technically bad, I only saw the errors and would often abandon pieces before they even had the chance to come close to completion. I lost my motivation because my own worst critic was distortive echoes in my head that I couldn't escape or tune out. There was a large portion of time I believed my worst fear had come true, and art was a phase for me, and I'd finally grown out of it. I've always been an artist for as long as I could remember, and I've always used it as a way to express myself and to tell stories. I love sharing my process and being able to look back and see how it's changed. While I haven't made nearly as much content pertaining to the art I wish I could have so far, I've been satisfied with most of what I've put out. Each video, I attempt something different or new, expanding my knowledge and practice making art videos. I've also slowly been able to have more inspiration hit me and ideas for drawings come to light. Part of the creative drought was the fact I didn't have any ideas. For a long time, I forgot I started drawing for myself and to tell stories about characters I created. I drowned myself in making art for other people and overdid it to the point I couldn't draw anything unless I had an idea or request from someone else. Even then, due to the lack of passion I had about drawing, eventually I couldn't even finish the art people asked me to make. Not because I didn't want to, but it genuinely felt like opening an art program was like walking on thorns. Eventually, I just didn't touch anything related to drawing. When I did the sketchbook tour, however, I found myself connected to a time where drawing was much like breathing. I would open a blank page and draw one of the plethora of ideas I would have at any given time. Of course, when you're a child, imagination comes easier. Being able to experience what that imagination created was as if I could feel my heart begin to beat again. I was reminded that art wasn't just about making something, but to tell and portray a story, at least for me. I was reminded of characters I made that were much like friends to me in a hard time in my childhood, giving me something familiar to return to when I opened my sketchbook. As an adult looking down at these pages, I simply realized I'd lost that. I had completely forgotten what writing and designing characters meant to me, and why I had had them in the first place. These characters are extensions of yourself that you can use to process emotions and feelings and have something you can relate to. I know that may seem extreme to some, and some may not understand that. However, I realized what I was missing to my art was genuinely the connection to it. Instead of it being something I did to connect and understand myself and others, I only did it for others, because I was the art. Going through that sketchbook reminded me I cannot have passion without inner connection. Through that sketchbook, I was reminded of everything that once inspired me and what I used to feel connections to. I began to copy what I found in that sketchbook, to find media I felt connected to and inspired by, to make fan art of it. I began to make Spider-Man fan art or Adventure Time fan art. I started writing fan fiction and slowly writing my own original content again through that. I started slow, building off of a foundation created by someone else, like making fan art or fan fiction. Then slowly I could go off and make my own foundation and build off of it myself as well through making original content again. Revisiting what I used to do and create so effortlessly when I was a child, progress didn't happen overnight. Yet slowly but surely through 2024, I was able to be reminded why I fell in love with drawing in the first place and why I didn't want to lose that part of myself. Even if I had to do what was often considered cringy, it still got the gears turning again. That meant slowly and finally, I've gotten to a point where I'm able to write and create my own characters and worlds again. I can slowly see the spark return to the pages, the gears turning in my head. Despite the down period of time with the lack of passion, I was able to reconnect with myself through this channel, and as such, I found myself liking my art in the process again. Now I've been able to share some of my original characters with you all, such as Rex Banjo from my Skyrim series, or Phoenix and Jingles that I'm drawing right now. Phoenix is a persona of me technically, but they're still designs I've created myself, something I haven't been able to do for a few years. Now I'm standing at the other side of the creative drought with a spark I didn't have before. Thanks to this channel and remembering what got me to make art in the first place. I mentioned a few times how I watched sketchbook tours as a kid, or watched toy unboxings as a kid on YouTube. YouTube has been a big part of me, as it is for many others. I watched toy unboxings, then slowly discovered gaming content, then art content, until my YouTube recommended now is a blend of gaming, art, and all my other interests. Some part of me always wanted to make my own YouTube channel, with my own videos that I edited and created. All in all, I want to share what makes me happy. I also desire to make these videos because having these projects to work on, record, and edit to see the final product go up is a feeling I can't replace. Just having the small sense of accomplishment to be able to look at something you've made and say, I did that, is something I think everyone genuinely needs. I reconnected with a part of myself that wanted to do this, and it's been irreplaceable. All because I posted that sketchbook tour a year ago, and I felt that warm feeling come back after a long time of feeling out in the cold. I was able to find the piece in myself that I lost through reconnecting with my inner child. My fire has come back, and I'll never be able to deny the part of the reason is this channel. Giving myself a space to express myself and what I love unapologetically and share that with others. This channel in the last year has been far more than a YouTube channel and milestones. It's helped me climb out of a rough spot, and I can't wait to see this channel grow in this next year. What projects I create, how it grows and changes, and what I learn about editing and recording more than I knew before. I can't wait to see my skills grow, and I'm proud of myself for taking this step despite the fear I felt doing so. I know my content and skills aren't perfect, however, despite all that, I still had you all show their support, and it means more to me than I could ever explain. I'm glad my content has not only brought me on the other side of one of the worst art blocks of my life so far, but there are people that are willing to stick around and see the growth of this channel and my videos. I will continue to work and improve not only the videos, but future streams as well. Thank you all for 100 subscribers, and thank you for the first year of this journey.